No, you're good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Val. All right, Win Meehan, Sheriff, monthly update decision. Come on up.
You can sit back there.
I don't know if I was on this one.
Well, I don't know, if you want to.
Do that when we-
What's that?
Oh, yeah.
In the world of works.
That's right.
Yeah. We have a few things going on. I'm gonna bring up, we signed a contract with Trinity Fuel. Basically, all it is
Hold
basic.
on. That's not until 11. Oh, never mind.
It's after.
Sorry.
I've been waiting. Listen here, courthouse.
Do you want to combine the two?
It's,
Is that what I'm hearing?
which one?
The yours and
Yours
the
and
next one?
Brandon.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna, well, yeah.
Brandon
we'll
Harris, Under Sheriff, BOR, contract
Yeah.
staffing changes. Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
So here's what I've done, and Brandon was this into it a little bit. My concern is there's enough funding there to fund a full-time guy, plus a part-time guy from Memorial Day to Labor Day. My issue that I'm really combating right now is this is basically the same thing we've been doing for years. It's still, we have to do the run report and then send those in, invoice them, and then they reimburse whatever it was. So that's all fine and dandy. That's happy-go-lucky. With the new administration and at the federal level, this is a 5-year contract. First year, we're covered. Second through 5 is optional. And so I'm very reluctant at this juncture to
So year 2 through 5?
year 2 through 5 is optional. And I just don't know what's gonna happen, and I'm not gonna try to speculate, what could happen in the administration of Donald Trump. So, I'm not gonna put my eggs in one basket at this juncture. What I basically proposed to Brandon, and he worked really hard on this, was that we're gonna move Mark, who's been doing it 40 hours a week right now, we're just gonna keep doing that and see how things progress. I just don't have, I mean, if they pull it, something changes, whatever, and I have somebody I sent to the academy and uniformed and everything else, and then I gotta find a job for them or else fire them. And right now, that's not a smart decision on my part. I've got lots of staff who would love to have a position, however, this is the one that's probably the safest avenue at this juncture, just with the unknown. So, I think that's, kind of see how this first few months go. My other concern is legislation. I already know Senator Fields has brought up again to talk about legislation of transferring federal lands to state hands. If that happens, that's pushed through, that funding is no longer coming from the feds. So we have another battle to deal with there. So there's a couple different variables that are going on outside the jurisdictional boundaries of Brownwater County in regards to this funding. So this year, we just do it that way. I think that's the biggest one. And then, after that, we can obviously see what's gonna transpire, see how things kind of progress. It's just not a lot of growth. So to make it safe and keep people working that position, I need somebody out there doing it the way it's scheduled and everything else. I think we're gonna be just fine. And that money does cover the insurance, fuel maintenance on the car. So that contract price is still gonna cover everything. So it's not a increase to the expenditure aspect. It's all slotted in here.
So fiscal year 16, 17, you're keeping it with
Yeah.
Mark? Okay.
And I'm hoping that after we get through legislation, which should be ended in April, as long as there's no huge changes, then we'll reevaluate.
And that deputy knows what the situation is.
He does. I did have a conversation with him about, earlier this week, or last week, I should say, about that, and he was comfortable. Mark Wood, he is a certified law enforcement officer. We did send him through the, what do you call it?
Challenge.
Challenge, yeah. And so he's been doing, there's weeks where he works 40 hours a week, and sometimes he's short, but I said, you know, this is where we're at. He's like, no, not a problem. I can, be happy to help. So it's not, I made sure there's not a burden with him. The other part is that we still have, Cal as a part-time guy to cover up on that secondary part, throughout the thing. With this, it's, like I said, you have to do the work, then you have to invoice, and then you get reimbursed. So there's no, send me a check for $89,000 saying, here, knock yourself out. It's just whatever we do, but with this, we are contractually bound to have that 40-hour-a-week activity there, so a little different.
So.
So it's, go ahead,
Nope.
it's up to 89, not 89.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
yeah, so whatever work we provide, and we just gotta make sure that if they're only gonna reimburse if we have a run sheet for that day, that's what they're gonna pay on. They're not, if there's no run sheet, there's no payday. So the guys gotta be pretty cognizant about getting those run sheets done, because if they miss a day, that's whatever the contract day price is, we're out.
So basically, the same as always been.
It's same as always been. All it is just that it's instead of, you know, that hit and miss area where we shut down, from March until May, that's all gone. Now it's 52 weeks a year, so.
So what part is the part-time? What period?
Memorial Day and Labor Day,
Yeah,
Saturdays and Sundays and and 3 holidays. And they're shorter shifts, but they were offset with that 40-hour-a-week shift.
You use somebody already on staff for that.
and what we're gonna do is, that's a pretty tedious, I mean, you're gonna have, it's either feast or famine, and that's the thing with that. So the way all of our staff, all of our patrol divisions is gonna start rotating, here effective January. We're gonna pick their shifts, they're gonna bid their shifts out, this next month. But part of that is rotating through that lake patrol area. I mean, it's to say, you know what, you're stuck out here during camping season, by your, you know, you're gonna be running, and that's gonna be, with the emphasis, there's things we gotta make sure we're dealing with those MIPs and those criminal mischiefs and vandalisms and things like that. You could be running quite a bit.
Right.
So this way it affords everybody an opportunity to step out of it's still an enforcement issue, but your primary division of patrol is going to be that lake. So Winston all the way through wildlife management areas, all the way to Hellgate, and even the Magpie area up above, if they got called out that way. But basically, we're gonna have a guy just decide to that water lake. And hopefully that will kind of alleviate a few issues, especially in the Gooseberry area as well. Or they've even asked us to go out there and continue to do patrols, in behind the lock gate, because they have some other things out there, so. So with that being said, that's kind of where we're at. That is a big one. Do you have something you'd like to add in that?
No, I think it's gonna be, you know, be able to free up, having somebody assigned out there, you know, gives us an extra guy on shift and frees up other officers to cover other parts of the county that maybe don't get to see a deputy very often, so I think it'll be a huge benefit to our community. And at no cost, pennies, pretty much, what our tax money.
Yep.
So you mentioned it covers insurance, are you talking health insurance? Perfect,
Yep.
okay.
So everything that we pay for, fuel, maintenance, all that, it's all lumped in, it's broken down into, what it costs per day.
So, sorry, does that include a vehicle then?
No, it include, we'll have an extra vehicle for that,
Okay.
but it includes fuel and maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah. So so we finally got the truck that we asked for back in July.
Months and months
Yeah,
ago.
so it finally showed up, and so that Dusty's vehicle went off to the side for disposition.
Oh, okay.
Because we didn't have one. Now, part of the agreement with the city this year was, that kind of broke down how that money is spent. So, with the help of Dave, and part of that's $23,000 that every year will be assigned to vehicle replacement. So, when we get to that point when we have that, we'll have that money utilized. But it'll always be every year, part of the interlocal agreement is this part. 23,000 will come over to vehicle replacement. So kind of earmarking some things instead of generalizing them out as we've done in the past, saying, oh, here you go, it just goes into wherever. Now we kind of say, okay, out of this, let's put it over here. And so we have that, that account that actually has money in it every once in a while. So that's the plan, is hopefully when we get that, we can look at another vehicle, and maybe bring the other one that's, we have some of those approaching high numbers. You know, we've got some, Mason Moore, he's over 70,000 miles and he's got 14. The guys are just running. I mean, it's not, and Mason's not a traffic guy, so it's not that he's up down the highway doing that. He is our Three Forks deputy, resident deputy, and spends most of his time from here north. So that's where those miles are coming on. So we're trying to figure out how to, kind of, you know, regular maintenance is good, however, we just gotta figure out how we have to keep doing this, and make it all work. So, you had a question?
23,000?
Yeah. And the nice thing about that was in that same table, and that's the one we've all kind of looked at, is we changed out some of the deputies to dispatch, so it shows on their side what their money's going to. You're paying so much percentage of these staff, and then this part is going, so they have some accountability on the back end over at the city, so when people come in and go, okay, where's our public safety money going? This is where it's going to. And so that really kind of helps that whole process on their part. Hopefully it's gonna help us on our side as well, kind of know where things are at. I think it's been working fairly decently, so, any more on that? Okay. The other thing we got going on is this week is our new records management system is being installed, so Zerkers, they're gonna be here tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, I believe, training the staff and getting everything up and going for that. So that's something that we talked about back in July when we were having issues with Spillman. Finally, they've got everything crossed over, they got it implemented. So they've basically taken everything from our two previous records management systems, Swift and Spillman Nova, and they've encompassed it into Zerker. So we're not losing any of our history. Then those can just go and be archival, and that would be all that's there. So shouldn't have any issues with that. That is happening this week though. So that's kind of a cool deal. And then with that coming on board, then we'll also have that jail roster on our webpage as well. So that should help eliminate, once we get some information out there, people understand that. You can go on the webpage and find that. Then we should hopefully start seeing some reduction in the calls down at the dispatch. Dispatch, we did lose a dispatcher. I don't know if we talked about this or not. Detention Officer Amber Marr. She used to work for us a long time ago, and then she came back. She expressed some things to me during kind of an exit interview, that it's too busy. There's too many things going on. It's a very intense multitasking position, and even though she was a phenomenal dispatcher of the year 2 years in a row, it was overwhelming to her. And so with the amount of inmates we're trying to keep in there, we're trying to keep it at capacity all the time. That, the staff, the road officers, the calls, everything else. You know, you got 26 cameras, you got a view. It's just too much. And so that's one of those things. And Janet, who's been a long-time employee, 16 years, she's feeling the same thing. It's just getting to be too much. One of their recommendations is because the jail is so busy and is so full, is that, you know, they're like, can you find a different spot for dispatch? Because they can't do their job because they're so busy dealing with the jail issue, controlling the issue, running those doors and answering the inmate request. That 911 center is getting kind of put on the back burner. And so I did talk to the supervisor down there this morning. She said that she was so busy last week with a home invasion down in the south end of the county. She had 5-6 officers down there and a bunch of bad guys. She actually faced a fight between an officer and an inmate. And she was too busy trying to deal with the stuff on the outside. She didn't notice the fight going on. So that's obviously something we gotta be concerned about and try to figure out a way to get around not having those issues, so. Somewhere in the future, you know, we're gonna try to evaluate the foot plant of that building and see what we can and can't do. But kinda goes back to more people coming in, visiting and living here, it's definitely starting to cause a pretty significant burden within our current structure, the way it sits. So we might have to do some revamping at some point, to see what we can do to make things work. I don't know what it's capable of doing. We've tried to utilize the space as best we can as we are right now, but we might have to do some modifications if we keep going down this path. The other thing that we've seen, hunting season's finally over, thank goodness, except the shoulder season down your neck of the woods, I think still going, but, you know, for the most part, I think the hunting season went fairly well. We had a few little glitches, nothing too significant, nothing like we've had in the past. And hopefully it remains that way for the rest of the year. You know, we did have one of our patrol officers, Mason Moore, struck a deer here a couple weeks ago. Then it was about $8 grand in damage. That vehicle is actually a collision probe getting fixed, I think, as we speak. So we have one out of the fleet right now because of that. But hopefully we'll get it back here shortly. One of those things I guess we're gonna have to look at as well when we start buying vehicles, if we need to find a real guard assembly. That might, you know, I don't know if it would have saved it, but the only thing we've been putting on the Interceptors is a push bar, which is really great if they center punch the car. However, then we'll go up and over it, but it's always taking out the headlights and the fenders and hood. So I guess in that same breath, it's kind of an insurance policy to reduce the amount of damage that's done. We're gonna hit them, we're out there all the time, there's just no way around it. As good as we can say we are as drivers, I think every one of us has hit a critter, isn't that right, Nick?
Yes.
So, it's just, and when you're putting on 30,000 miles in the county a year, it's gonna happen. So that's happening. They are trying to do interviews today to fill Amber's position, because we're short. So, you know, we asked for part-time, then I said, hey, let's go full-time because we're having issues with how busy it is down there. Still have one on administrative leave, which they're working on as well. However, we had Bree leave. Bree moved over to Lewistown, took a position there, so then Amber can fill that one. And now that one's gone, so now we got Janet, Rebecca, Delaware, and Shauna trying to cover these. Yeah, it's getting pretty hectic down there for them. So we are coming in holiday season. Hopefully things go smooth. You know, you never know what's going to happen out there, but I think we got some pretty good guys out there on the street right now that are trying to take care of business as best they can. I know they got a stolen car, you know, last night. Dusty, guy stole a truck out of Great Falls, which adds another case to Mr. Swanson and Val. Just happened to coming through a stolen pickup and Dusty's snaked him. So there are lots of things going on, lots of casework. I'm gonna talk with Garrett a little bit. We might have to change some of the firewalls within our internet system. Most of our investigative stuff is done through cyberbullying. So it's not like the guys out there fingerprinting and doing all that stuff anymore. It's a lot of cyber stuff. A lot of our intel comes from the internet, and I know some of the stuff that we try to do, it does block us, so we might have to have a conversation about that. That's just the world we live in now, and since most of our investigations are going down that path, we have to have access to that. We're just figuring out a way to do so. What else is going on, Mr. Harris?
I just was here to talk about the VOR.
You're supposed to be my right-hand guy.
And I just add to that, VOR, that's good planning just a year time, because I dealt with VOR when this part and through the irrigation systems, you know, I mean, they get their orders from above.
Yep.
And just because the local office is, it's,
And I think there's too many variables out there. I mean, there really is, and I mean, when you look at and you hear President-elect Trump saying, you know, we're gonna figure out this national deficit, then you start going, okay, okay, that BOR is one of those federal agencies that really, yeah, you kind of question whether or not, how needed are they at times? You know, I think that's kind of, sometimes I'd hate to.
but they're a big part of it.
They are a
Yeah.
big part,
But
and so it's like, you never know what's gonna go on, and I'd hate to speculate, put someone's livelihood in there, and have somebody bring their family on board and everything else, and then have, after a year,
Yeah.
go down the tank. So, you know, hopefully, as things progress, maybe we can do something different, but I think right now it's probably the most fiscally responsible thing I can do in this position, so.
And he's already trained, so it's not like you
Yeah.
training someone and
Yep, so, but, you guys got any questions?
No.
Concerns?
Like I say, I think that's the right idea there.
I'm good.
All right, me too. No, again, I think you're doing tremendous work, so keep it
Trying.
up. Yeah,
And I'm actually, my goal is here, after the first of the year, is actually have we're gonna sit down and actually do the budget and see what we're at, see how things will look at. And I will say is, last year when I did submit the budget, I didn't have a wish list on, I will be honest with you. That's just what I felt was needed, for, to operate in the way we need to. So, we're gonna, the other thing is we're one step closer on the other stuff. I did talk to Mark Kemp, this is on the radio, jumped over the radio. We answered all the questions, so we had the whole list of questions, everything that Charlie and Gary said, no, good. So we just had some contractual stuff based on numbers. My understanding with Mark, Ken, is that we have to go through and agree to move forward, and then those contractual conversations starts, is what it was, the email that he sent me. So I will reach out to him again this week and say, okay, what do we need to do to make the next step? But it sounds like, everything that we had concerns about, the point-to-points and everything else, everything's in place. Charlie had set it up with the intent that we were coming over anyways. So everything, the master site's already there. And so the only thing we had to do was figure out some code keys and everything else, and we'll be good to go. So it should be a fairly, simple process, for the way it sounds, because everything's kind of already in the system as if we were already there, so.
And, all that grant information's already been filed, and you're good to go on that?
For the DHS grant?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Tammy, I know was on the conversation part of that as well. So,
is that for the $75,000 left?
no, that was for the 148,000.
Oh, okay.
So that one there. And then the other one, the other stuff, was, I think it was only 7. I think it was where we were short. I think we were short 70. And I was after kind of got there and then figured out what would be the best lease option we have. I kind of get a little worried, trying to use that 901 funds, like trying to get a history of what's coming in. There's a little bit of fluctuation, not a lot, but there's a little bit. I'm trying to make sure that we're not strapping ourselves with that. Because we do have, right now we have a lease with the records management system, that's a fairly significant amount, and we had to pay that lease again, with Nova because of the time frame. The Zerpa wasn't gonna be able to get it, as soon as we needed it, and that other bill came up. So we ended up forking out years on that.
Oh, they didn't prorate or nothing, huh?
No, so, and so it was kind of a, it is what it is. Lessons learned, I think we're on the right track. I think now we have something that's solid. A lot of agencies in the state of Montana are going to this Zerker. They're just lots and lots. So I think that we're right on track, and I don't see once we get it paid for, then we're back down to a yearly maintenance, and that's it. So that's not my concern, it's just getting from point A to point B to get that thing paid off, and then we can really have a breath there of not having a $27,000 trunk coming out.
Sure.
So, and then back to my other topic there was that I plan on having kind of a budgetary review and then a planning meeting in January, see where our goals are, see what we need to do, what expenditures we're looking at in the next fiscal year. Obviously outside of motor vehicles and stuff, but like I said, a lot of the stuff we're doing is over the internet and computer-based for investigative tools and everything else. So there might be some things in there that just some we might need. I mean, it's really the bad guys control our movement, but a lot of it's leading towards the computer-based stuff, and you gotta have the tools there to get to where you need to get them put behind the wall, so to speak. So, kind of where we're at, kind of where we're going. Yeah. So, any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
On
Get out of here.
On the radio thing, I did read the BLM tower lease.
Yeah. It was just, yeah.
So, and it's submitted, I do have copies, and I'll just throw them in your guys' box.
Oh, thank you for that.
So that was the one, and I guess I'm a little confused, and I got it this week, and I don't know if you got it or not. So that's that saying that Broward Sheriff's Office, the fire department, DES, we're all utilizing this tower station up there. Montana Internet's on there as well. And so when you look at the invoice that came in, it's zero for sheriff, fire, DES, and then Montana Internet's $2,463. Who pays that?
Montana Internet is supposed
Supposed
to.
to, that's right.
And Corey sent them a letter. I don't know if there's been a response yet, but to avoid late fees, we paid it.
Oh, okay.
And so they're supposed to be paying us back too.
So I did send it, I believe it went to Michelle or Debbie as well. But I was like, I'm not sure why I got this. If you need money from Montana Internet, you should probably send it to them. But
Yeah, no, and we just had a meeting too that we discussed with Corey, that if they're not going to hold up to their end, then we were looking at maybe ramifications and whatever, options.
Well, and that was one of those things that, in the transition, the short transition between Sheriff Ludwig and myself, which was very short. I think she was excited to retire, but that was one of those things we never discussed, and so it's been kind of a learning lesson for all of us there, trying to get that understanding and taken care of. So now we have an understanding of it, and hopefully it doesn't become a bothersome issue anymore after that. So, okay. Well, if you have nothing else, we'll let you get back to it.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. Have a great day.
You too?
Oh, yes, Monday Night Football.
Da-da-da.
Yeah. I haven't done it about 3 years, isn't it? So I used to have Monday Night Football at the house, and it was a lot of fun, but we haven't done it in a long time, and we were off to Mississippi. Go ahead and have one. Okay? So,
Nice.
yeah, should be a good time.
All right, I have just a couple of things before we break for lunch. This was in the mailbox. There was about 2 inches of mail. It's Franklin's. So I just grabbed all of it without going through it individually. And then you guys saw the email from Nicole from the County Compensation Board?
Yep.
I asked her,
Have it right here.
it was new last year that we had the clerk of court, sheriff, and clerk of recorder appoint members to that board. Well, the way it worked is we didn't know who they were, they just showed up at meetings. We didn't know who was members of the board, who wasn't, who to include information beforehand. So, one thing we should do is follow the process for everybody. Just like what Mike was talking about with DES, that should follow the same process. So I'd like to request of Nicole that we advertise as a county for those appointee positions and let Val Wynn and Doug decide who they want to represent them on the board, and then select them that way, and have them as an actual member of the board, a set year number of terms, first year for any new board members, a year. After that, we go to 2 or 3, depending on that board, and those are mostly set by MCA. So if it's good with you guys, I think that would be the most publicly informative way to go than just more shooting from the hip and, oh, so-and-so's here today for such and such,
Yeah,
but not knowing any details.
I would agree to that.
Okay. All right, and then the other thing is, I made a mistake a couple weeks ago when we talked about the salary surveys, and I took this into account in coming up with that rough formula for Val. But this is just, I missed a decimal point. So the finance officer position, to bring them up to the same 90% that we did for the other department heads, we do need to actually address $1 per hour there as well. If we don't, that's the only department head who is full-time, who is still below median. With my error, she was at, I forget now, 89%, it was close enough. With my error, she's actually, that position is actually considerably below the 90%. So I would like to have a motion to include that with the rest of the 5 positions we addressed 2 weeks ago.
And I'd make that motion.
We have a second?
I kind of lost a part of it there. I think that's more increase in wages, right?
Yes, sir.
Market adjustments.
Market analysis.
So you're gonna second? Okay, I will second. It's been moved and seconded to include the finance officer position with the same formula developed for department heads with the market adjustment, just moving them to 90% of the median average. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, so I'll give those to Debbie, have her figure that out. And then the balance between that and what we had set aside, we'll go ahead and put in the reserves for clerk of district court. So that's all my mistake and all the information I have for the good of the year. Do you guys have anything to add before lunch?
No, just the 1:30 recording this afternoon,
All right,
and then Wednesday.
and I'll ask Michelle to post those, but those are closed door,
Yep.
and the chair can call a closed door at any time per MCA. So I will take care of that at the end of the meeting. All right, any further public comment? Yes?
I had an approximate appointment this morning at 10:45 to be heard by the commissioners, and so do I need to come back after lunch?
I am so sorry, no, come up now. Did you talk about that with me on the phone?
Phone, right.
Right before I left for vacation? I
Probably.
apologize, I was on vacation brain.
Okay.
Please come up.
Okay, it won't take, it
We'll
won't
give
take
you all
long.
the time that you
Okay,
need.
yeah,
I am
what
so
is-
sorry. And I forgot your
Yes,
yes.
that's-
cushions in
Now you have some.
here. Butt hurts.
Yeah, I was saying, you better hope you don't get picked for jury duty, I don't know. I don't think.
I'm the one who's been talking because I forgot my hearing aid this morning, I couldn't hear anything you guys were saying, so.
Oh, shoot.
I'm deaf and dumb.
So anyway, this is pretty quick, and
Okay,
we purchased a repossessed home in October of 2010. So I have no idea, it was a Fannie Mae owned home, the home had been vacant. To the best of my knowledge on the title search and everything, the taxes were current, had been paid by the bank and so forth. So when we took over the house, the taxes were fairly reasonable, and then we seemed to go up pretty substantially over the next couple of years. And this was compounded by the fact that the property tax office here was forwarding our mail to Illinois at our previous address, and then we completely fell out of the loop. So, all of this came to a head in February of 2016. So we owed, and I was in the hospital at the time, and my husband took care of everything. But we came and we brought our personal tax attorney with us up here to Broadwater County. And it was a pretty substantial fee because we owed from like May of 2011 through January of 2016. So it was about $23,000. Okay, so that was all paid under protest because we knew it was too high of an amount, just kind of offhandedly talking to what our neighbors were paying, and they have, you know.
Like properties.
Like, yeah, we all have the same amount of acreage, very similar homes because of the covenants and the restrictions of the size of house you have to build and so forth. And they have detached garages and barns and outbuildings and Morton buildings, and we have none at all, and we're still paying quite a bit more.
Twice as much.
All right, so anyway, so that all got clarified, and we asked that the home be reappraised. That was very nicely taken care of in June or July. The gentleman came out, remeasured everything, and they did find pretty substantial discrepancies in the home. So the assessed value and the current assessed value, all of that changed, okay? And the taxes were lowered. So our question is there a way to refund us the difference from the overpayment that we made?
We were paying like 12 or 1,500 square feet that we didn't have.
Yeah, so how can we recoup all of that back tax that was paid?
And this isn't your area of expertise. Would you go grab Doug for us?
Because, yeah, and I talked to the state and they said, you know, oh, it's a county thing. And then I talked to the gal downstairs and she said, well, we only have, June, I believe her name is, she said, we only have authority to do what's here and forward, nothing going backwards. So it's just kind of a
And
conundrum.
both of us are disabled, we have virtually no income. She's been in the hospital for 4 months with Crohn's in the ICU unit in both of them.
Right,
And it's just, I had to borrow money off of friends and whatever to get these taxes paid.
so,
But I think if I owe taxes, that's fine. You guys demand them and you'll put our house up for sale if we don't get it. But if we overpay, I feel that we are entitled to a refund according that we were overcharged.
she sent for the guy that needs to talk to us.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
that's
should
fine.
shut up.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Doug is our clerk recorder treasurer, so he does all the taxes. He's the tax expert. He'll
Okay,
be able to tell us what we can and cannot do, and then it'll be up to us to vote and decide on.
Yeah, we're
what
not asking for
within the
interest or
parameters.
anything like that. We just want,
yeah.
I mean, I just want what we overpaid.
Right, yeah.
It's the same as if we didn't pay it, you'd come get our house, right?
Yeah, I did speak with the Department of Revenue at the state, and she said that that's two separate things. If you ask for an additional interest on that difference that they find, interest or penalties or whatever, she said that's an extremely complicated thing. So she said if you just ask for the difference, that's pretty straightforward and so forth, so.
So when you went and you paid your taxes under protest and you paid all the back years
Right.
too, did the reappraisal that they did based
No,
on,
it hadn't been done yet.
was that done because of the protest?
Yes.
Right.
And then it found that you had
Right.
overpaid, and so the Department of Revenue said, well, we don't refund you, but you can take this to the county, is that right?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And we let him in the house and he went through the house and,
Yeah, it was
you
fine.
know, found that we had there, you know, there was a fireplace we were being charged for. So there were some things that weren't on there, there were, but there was a lot of things that were being charged for, like the basement wasn't finished, you know, all the way. And then upstairs, we had these cupola, what do you wanna call it, dormers that come out of the house. Well, it looks like there's a third floor, an entire third floor. There isn't. It's just skylights.
Yeah,
So they assumed
Sure.
You know, and then, you know, that's what they need to do, it would save a lot of trouble.
You know, I would have to go
If they would
downstairs
just-
and,
when people build
have it
houses,
all
they can turn
calculated
around house
to
plan and
what,
they're gonna have
what it
finished,
is
and then you
now
can
and
tax
then
them
what
correctly.
the
So
back
what is-
would
save a lot of
be.
headaches.
What was
You know.
the amount, new amount?
The new amount that's taxed is, I think it's on this page, is $2,536.73.
And what was the old?
And I.
40, it was 40,
Yeah.
it
it's
was
about
around
double.
$4,200.
Yeah,
And we started out at around 21, so I'm assuming they were charging us
Right.
at that rate, you know, and overcharging us even at that for 1,600 or 1,500 or whatever the square footage was, that they were overcharging us then too.
because
Okay,
the
so you understand.
attorney, when he, I mean, this is just my, how it was explained to me, because like I say, I was in the hospital, was that when the attorney was here, he specifically asked them, because of the mix-up on the address, if the overpayment was some type of an out-of-state ownership fee, that we were being penalized by not, even though it is our only residence, and we were living in the house, but maybe you didn't know that, and since that they had the addresses going to Illinois, as if we were getting taxed at like a vacation house rate, and they assured us we weren't, but I have no idea on that, how that works,
You
or
know,
if there is
Michigan,
such a
where it's at, They
thing.
did that. If you were out of state, it was completely different tax rate.
Yeah,
I don't believe they do that in Montana, but
Yeah.
I don't know that if I own personal.
yeah, but it was quite a difference. It's gone from here on your assessor's value, it's from $551,805 to $347,045, so $200,000.
Right.
It's not just a small amount of difference, you know, that they actually found, so.
Was Doug available?
Down is at lunch,
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
yeah.
All right,
So what I would suggest is we're gonna meet on Wednesday. So I
Okay.
would like to go ahead and postpone this till Wednesday if it's okay.
sure.
If you could leave us any of your paperwork, we can
Okay.
make copies and get it back to you, or make copies.
Well, what I think I'll
with you.
do is, I had found this as a receipt, but I believe it's only one page.
There's more to that. yeah.
Right, so I think I'll stop downstairs and maybe have her print that out, what the actual dollar
That's
amount.
just for 2 years is all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
dollar amount was that was paid in February, so.
Yeah, and if you wanna come back on Wednesday, that would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So we have an appointment at 12:30. How about 12 o'clock? Would that work for you
Sure.
guys?
Sure,
Does that work for you guys? All right,
Okay.
so,
yeah, we're
We'll
just down the road, so it's no big deal to come back.
all right, we'll go ahead and just
Okay.
postpone this till then.
Did you want this, reassessment thing that's from the county here?
That would be great. Anything,
Okay.
and then we can give you this back on Wednesday.
Right, and then here's the second, I don't know if that came unstable, but this is actually what they found, the differences.
Okay,
You know, where they make the notes on the square footage and so forth.
okay.
Where is your house located? Where are you?
It's in Hilltop Vista Loop, one of Fulford's, you know, so it's all the way, it's just to the southern edge. You
behind
know,
those
we're just
silhouette
like
horses.
one of the last things before the county
Okay.
line, but it's off of Hilltop
Yeah,
Road,
okay.
clear down there, yeah.
Okay. No, we will work with Doug. We'll get a copy of that receipt also from Doug.
Okay,
And have
yeah,
that
because this
for
isn't the
Wednesday?
full one, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Alrighty, because I wasn't able to do the math on it either since I didn't have it, so.
Well, and we'll ask
Okay.
Doug to put together a couple of different options too.
Okay,
Yeah,
that'd be fine.
all right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both
Appreciate
very
your
much.
time, man.
Yeah,
I know it's not
sorry
lunch.
to, yeah, sorry to interrupt
Oh,
you.
you're
No,
fine.
I'm glad that you did. I apologize for not
Well, that's fine.
remembering.
That's
I
fine.
apologize.
Okay, Wednesday at noon.
I'm gonna give these to you,
I
Aaron.
understand, it all takes longer than you think it's going.
Thank you both very
Uh-huh.
much. Right, anything else in public comment, anything for the good of the order? All right, we are recessed for lunch at 12:20. We'll be
Thanks,
back
folks.
at 1:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ann.